guys. Today we're going to repeat a video that I've already done. I've had several people request that I redo a video because they can't quite understand what I was talking about, and maybe I was talking too fast. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go very slowly, step by step, on how to start the twisted 10-stitch blanket that is on Ravelry by Frankie. 10-stitch twist. It's a 10-stitch blanket, but it is in the round. So we're going to go over the beginning steps of that, how to get started on the circle in the center. I'll show you several pictures of a completed blanket that I've done, but let's get started. In this pattern, there is a difference between ridges and rows. A row is when you have your stitches on your needle and you work in one direction. That's a row. A ridge is when you work in one direction and then turn it around and work back. That's a ridge. In garter stitch, it produces a ridge. So we're going to start this pattern with a long tail cast on. I'm going to put a slip knot a little further down the tail. And if you need help with casting on and creating your first slip knot and all that, I have other videos on beginner knitting techniques, but I'm going to assume you know how to do a long tail cast on. So it says to cast on 10 stitches, so we're going to do that. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have our 10 stitches, and now we're going to start the pattern. And this is going to require a technique called wrap and turn. So we will go through that very slowly, and I'll do a very big close-up so you can really see what's happening. So the very first instructions says to knit 2, wrap and turn, and knit 2. So let's zoom in here. We're going to knit 2, wrap and turn, and knit 2. Knit 2. A wrap and turn. Here's how I do it. I bring my yarn to the front as if I'm going to purl. Then I take the next stitch and I go into the stitch like I'm going to purl, but I'm not going to work the stitch. I'm just going to move it. So I take it off of the left needle until it's over on the right needle, and my yarn is still in the front. So I've just moved the stitch over. So now I'm going to take my yarn and move it back to the back, and you can kind of see I've wrapped that stitch. I've gone from not working it to wrapping it. So now once I have my yarn back here in the back, I want to move that stitch back over here to the left. So I'm just going to go back into the stitch and move it back. So it does have a wrap around it. It does have a wrap around it, and it was never worked. Okay. So the directions say to work a wrap and turn, which is what I just did. And then it says to knit 2. So part of the wrap and turn, I did the wrap. So now part of the turn is to turn your work around so that now we're going back the other direction. I'm going to put my yarn back in the back, and then the directions say to knit 2. So I'm going to knit those 2 stitches. So that is ridge 1 of the directions. We used the directions and we went in this direction, we turned it around, and we went back the other way. So completing one ridge is 2 rows. So now we're going to go on to ridge number 2, and that says to knit 4, wrap and turn, knit 4. So we're going to knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do a wrap and turn. Bring my yarn to the front, slip the next stitch, bring my yarn back to the back, so I wrapped that stitch. Now I'm going to put that stitch back over on the left hand needle. So there was my wrap, and now I'm going to turn. So I turn my work over, which is basically swapping hands, swapping the needles and swapping hands. So now my yarn is in the front. I want it to be in the back, so I'm going to put it back here between the needles and bring it to the back. And then the directions say to knit 4. So I'm going to knit these 4. So you can see here by what I'm doing, I'm not working all of the stitches. I'm only working a few stitches at a time, and I'm gradually going to increase how many stitches I work. But I'm only knitting these end stitches. I haven't yet knitted this end, only on this end. So I just completed ridge 2. So I have 2 ridges. There's the first ridge, there's the second ridge. It's a little hard to see, but the first ridge, let me see if I can show you this. The first ridge is right here, and the second ridge is right underneath the needle. So now I'm going to work ridge number 3. And it says to knit 6, wrap and turn, knit 6. So let's do that. Knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to do a wrap and turn. Now I'm going to do a wrap and turn. So I bring my yarn to the front, slip the next stitch, bring my yarn to the back, that makes the wrap, put that stitch back over on the left hand needle, that's the wrap, and then I'm going to turn my work, which means I'm just going to shift the needles in my hand. I'm swapping the needles in my hand, and now my yarn is in the front and I want it in the back, so I'm just going to move it to the back. And then the directions say to knit 6. It just happened to have 6 stitches on that needle, so I'm going to knit back, and that's the completion of ridge 3. So I'm going to turn my work again. So now I'm ready for ridge number 4. And ridge number 4 is to knit 8, wrap and turn, knit 8. So let's do that. Knit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to do a wrap and turn. Bring my yarn forward, slip the next stitch, bring my yarn back, put my stitch back over on the left needle, move that stitch. That was the wrap and turn, and now the turn is I'm just going to change hands, change the needles in my hands, and I'm going to start working back the other direction. My yarn just happens to be here in the front, but I want it in the back, so I'm going to move it to the back at this point. And now it says to knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can kind of see I'm starting to get like a pie piece. We have been working stitches, but we've never gone all the way to the end. We've only been working short rows. Short row means we stop short, turn around, and work back, and we don't complete all the stitches. So that is right there was ridge number 4. Now ridge 5 says to knit 6, wrap and turn, and knit 6. So we had been increasing. We had been going knit 2, knit 4, knit 6, knit 8. Now we're going to go back down and start doing short rows, but on fewer stitches. So ridge 5 says to knit 6, wrap and turn, and knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wrap and turn. Bring my yarn to the front, slip the stitch, bring my yarn to the back, slip the stitch back over. There was the wrap. Now I'm going to turn my work, which means I'm swapping the needles in my hands, turning the needles over. My yarn is in front and I want it to be in the back, so I need to bring the yarn to the back. And then it says to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've just completed ridge 5. I have 5 ridges. I'm going to kind of pull this down. Ridge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 ridges we've completed. And then this is the last part. Ridge 6 is the last part of this beginning section. This will complete our pie piece. And it says to knit 4, wrap and turn, knit 4. All right, we're going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, wrap and turn, bring my yarn to the front, slip a stitch, bring my yarn to the back, slip the stitch back over to the left hand needle. That's the wrap. That's the wrap. Then swap. We're going to turn our work, which means I'm swapping the needles so that I'm going in the opposite direction. My yarn is in the front and I need it to be in the back because I'm knitting and not purling. So I bring my yarn to the back and then it says to knit 4. Two, 3, 4. Okay, so now I have just finished the first 6 ridges for the pie piece. Now I'm going to repeat those 6 ridges, all the things I just showed you. We're going to keep repeating that until this circle, it's starting to be a circle here, until the circle goes all the way around. According to her directions, she worked this pie piece 4 times and she got halfway around. You may have to work it more or less depending on your yarn and your tension. So I'm going to work this again. I'll show you how to start the next pie pieces. It's exactly the same as what we started. We still have our 10 stitches on our needle that we did when we started. But let's go ahead and continue on and do the next pie piece. I decided to split this video into 2 parts. So if you want to see the second part of this video, click in the link below.